I'm not even doing this for him. I just want to look good. Okay, maybe I want him to see me. I want him to regret it. I want him to see how good I am without him. What if he sees me and he still doesn't even care? Actually, why do I still need him to see me? For me to feel like I won. I can't believe after years of friendship, she would go and do something like that. How can she know everything I've been through and still gaslight me into thinking it was my fault? Yeah, there you go. Exactly my thoughts. Yeah, nothing to rebuild here. Oh my god, I can't believe I found this quote. This is my exact situation. I'm posting this. She'll know it's about her. You know what? Forget it. Better to block her and be done. Does any of that look or sound familiar? Sometimes revenge looks loud and dramatic. Other times it looks quiet, indirect, and passive aggressive. In both cases, it's trying to be seen, trying to be understood, trying to make sure the person who hurt you finally feels something. You want them in some way to get a taste of their own medicine. But the reality is, they already know what it tastes like. That's why they are the way that they are. Listen, I am not here to lecture anybody about being noble or taking the high road. I have fell into the seek revenge trap more times than I care to admit. And because of those experiences, I have learned that the real revenge is indifference. I grew up feeling unprotected, and that feeling persisted through most of my adulthood. Friends, boyfriends, relatives never seemed to defend me. Maybe they would in private, maybe, but publicly, I was always largely on my own. Together, my history and my reality convinced me at some point, subconsciously, that I had to defend myself all the way. I had to be the one to seek justice. I wanted other people to admit that they had wronged me. And I wanted other people to see who they were behind their mask. Honestly, all that ever did for me was keep me living under their darkness instead of finding my own light again. Seeking revenge kept me connected to the person who hurt or wronged me because they stayed the center of my attention. The truth is, I wasn't free until I didn't care. I think indifference gets confused with avoidance or apathy, but they are not the same. Passivity means that something is still unresolved. You're still hurt, you're still confused, you're still seeking answers, you're still afraid, and you're still hoping for a change. Indifference comes after clarity. You've seen the pattern, you've tried to find a solution, you've felt the pain, and now you no longer need to engage. You see, it's not a lack of feeling. It's a result of having felt enough to finally reach a conclusion. People don't usually become indifferent after the first time that they've been hurt. It usually comes after trying, after conversation, explanations, over and over again, giving the first, second, and third chance. By the time indifference finally shows up, you've already done all the work. You've seen the pattern and you have accepted that it will not change. That's also why it feels different than giving up. When you're still invested in something, in any kind of relationship, whether it's friendship, romantic relationship, family relationship, whatever it is, if you're still invested, you're still on edge. You're reading into everything. You're texting ChatGPT like crazy. What does this mean? What's going on? You're hoping for something different from that person. Indifference is when that stops. You're not waiting anymore. Your body relaxes. That's not passivity. That's regulation. This is often the healthiest place to land in one-sided or harmful relationships. You stop pouring so much energy into someone who has already shown you exactly who they are. You can walk away without anger and without needing closure. It's not cold, it's just complete. When I was still explaining, reacting, trying to be understood, there was always noise, arguments, high emotions, explosive reaction. All that created an illusion of connection even when nothing was improving or changing. When I became indifferent, the noise stopped and the reality became clear. In other words, the silence wasn't empty, it was revealing. What I noticed was that people who were used to my emotional availability didn't see my indifference as something neutral. They saw it as a loss of control. I wasn't arguing, defending, engaging in any kind of way anymore. I just stopped participating. Then I realized some people only felt close to me when I was the one doing all the emotional work. What was interesting and pretty ironic were some of the reactions that I got. The same people who told me, be calm, be mature, take the high road, don't overreact, suddenly became agitated. My lack of response felt more threatening than my anger ever had. That's when it really clicked. They didn't want peace, they wanted access. Indifference doesn't explain itself, it just pulls back. And in that same space, everything becomes obvious. It becomes more clear who actually cares and who just misses all of the emotional labor you were putting into that relationship. To be completely fair, there are circumstances when indifference won't make everything calmer. In fact, depending on the situation and the type of person you're dealing with, it can escalate. This is because for some people, your reactions were validation to them. Your reactions were reassurance. They were proof that they still had a place in your world. When that disappears, it's shocking and unsettling to them. Some people bond through intensity and thrive off of chaos. Conflict, reactions, rapidly changing emotional highs and lows. So when you stop feeding that, they push harder instead of reflecting. In my own experience, the quieter I got, the more some people kind of spiraled. What they might have called cold was just me no longer giving them access. My indifference didn't create the discomfort, it exposed it. I think part of why revenge feels so seductive, so righteous, and sometimes even exciting is because we were conditioned to love it through stories. Movies, shows, books, they all teach us that pain is supposed to be met with reckoning. That someone who wronged us has to one day finally stand in front of us and understand what they did. They're supposed to finally feel what they made us feel, and they're supposed to finally lose whatever they took from us. When that moment finally arrives on screen, it feels powerful. It looks like perfect justice. And then finally, as the credits start to roll, you get the sense of closure. Yeah, real life doesn't follow a script though. Let me drive this point home. In movies or books, the person who hurt you stays the main character up until the very end because the entire story is built around this person getting what is coming to them. Your suffering exists to justify their downfall. Your healing only happens once they collapse. That is what revenge can look like in real life too. Except there is no guaranteed ending, there is no music in the background, no final scene where the audience cheers in admiration. If you only take one thing from this video, let it be this. Revenge is short-term satisfaction and long-term captivity. Indifference is power. Indifference is freedom. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments if I changed your mind at all, or if you're like, nah, I still gotta drive the karma bus sometimes. Either way, if you got anything from this video at all, make sure you like, share it, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again in the next video.